Hey there, America. It's Joe Simons, like diamonds, from Retirement Think Tank. And as you know, I scour the web all the time looking for good articles on retirement and investing, etc. And I kind of like to do like the cliff notes for you and tell you kind of the good, the bad, the ugly, and why you should read it, or why you should just listen to what I say and listen to my cliff notes. And this one was a very interesting one that piqued my interest. It was out of Forbes, and it was by Ashlea Ebeling, and the title was, "Is Your Financial Advisor Conflicted?" And normally when we read articles like this, they're usually bashing, annuity agents and insurance-only agents for kind of peddling annuities and things like that. And this one really picked on broker-dealers really hard and almost kind of harshly in some cases, but really put RIAs, registered investment advisors, in a really positive light. And the whole thing was talking about, hey, is your financial advisor conflicted in the terms that they're doing what's best for them, not for you, which is also considered this fiduciary responsibility. And there's been a lot of talk around this, and there's a lot of legislation going on about that right now, which this article is about. And they're even talking about the Department of Labor, I guess, who really kind of determines a lot of this, and working with the SEC and FINRA to talk about this fiduciary responsibility. Because some broker-dealers, although they do have to kind of say that, yes, this is suitable for you or not, they don't always apparently have to say that it is the very best thing. Whereas RIAs, the registered investment advisors, are set at a little bit higher fiduciary standard, which I believe is true and interesting. This is not to say that all BDs are bad, and not all broker-dealers are bad by any means. I know plenty of financial advisors, registered reps, who are with broker-dealers, and some really great broker-dealers as well. So I wanted to make sure that we always try to be fair and balanced here, that this is not just tearing down broker-dealers and only lifting up RIAs, because there's some horrible RIAs out there as well that aren't doing what's right. So one of the quotes on here that got my attention was, when investors are steered into products that have higher cost and unnecessary risk, investors suffer the very real financial harm, whereas the advisor makes the money and they don't really care what happens after that in some cases, to your assets. Of course they should, because that's how a lot of times they're going to get paid if they're getting fee only or any kind of residual. It's harm that's pervasive and has a material impact on their ability to save for an adequate and decent retirement, which is true, and it's the reason that we're bringing this to your attention. And in the very beginning, they talk about watch out. That's the very two first words, which got my attention. That broker-sold mutual fund or IRA rollover might not be in your best interest. And then there's an example here. Cheryl Garrett, a fee-only planner and the founder of Garrett Financial Planning Network, tells us a horror story that there's about a dozen or so telephone middle-aged employees that were offered an early retirement. And they work with a self-proclaimed retirement specialist who had them basically trade in all of their employer-provided defined benefit, like their DB plan, for some really expensive variable annuity contract that cost them, of course, a 10% penalty to get out early. And then they're paying a little over 2.4, it says, a year just for the annuity alone, whether it went up or down. And of course, this specialist received a very nice commission for all that, for this dozen employees that all moved, I'm sure, hundreds of thousands of dollars over each. And the annuity didn't pan out at the end of the day. And so now these people are in their 60s and they're trying to make ends meet. Many of them had to go back to work. And this person, I guess, was with a broker-dealer, and at the time they didn't make sure that that was in these people's best interest. And cashing in on a defined benefit plan is just stupid. I mean, it's like she puts here, it's close to insanity. So just be very careful. I would always get second opinions, just like you do a doctor or anything like that. I mean, if it's your health or your wealth, it's two things that should be incredibly important to you. Get a second opinion, make sure you have the right thing. And as she put down, talk to maybe someone that's with a broker-dealer and a registered investment advisor and see if they both agree or not, and why. So I think that's always a good idea, is to kind of put the two against each other. In light of all these issues, the Department of Labor is considering whether to expand the circumstances in which financial professionals have a fiduciary duty to their clients, and updating rules that go all the way back to 1975. So not much has really been changed. There was a lot of talk about it after 2008, but most of the focus was on the bigger picture of the banks and the investment banking and how they can invest money. And there wasn't so much on individual brokers and RIAs and their fiduciary responsibility. In the case of broker-sold mutual funds, I'm just doing some of the main paragraphs here, there are often cheaper equivalent mutual funds, for example. So, meaning some of the broker-dealers that might recommend a certain one, they might get paid more for the exact same thing you can get somewhere else. And while there's a huge sales push for individuals to roll over their 401k money into individual IRA accounts, in many, if not most cases, workers would be best served by keeping their money in their former employee's plan or transferring it into a new employee's plan, or I say even looking at possible annuities that don't have the big fees if you're just looking for a lifetime contractual income, which of course a 401k cannot give. And their final recommendation is, do you want conflict-free financial planning advice? One place to start is searching for a fee-only planner at the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors at napfa.org. That's NAPFA.org. Great place to go. And there are, by the way, a lot of places you can go now to, especially just Google FINRA background checks, and you'll see a couple sites there where you can find out information about your broker. Have they had complaints in the past? Have they lost people so much money in things they shouldn't have been investing in? That's important as well, meaning you want someone, it's one thing to lose money because that's natural, and over time the market is going to ebb and flow, but if people are investing in crazy alternative investments they have no business doing it and have been slapped on the wrist or fined or even lost their license temporarily, you need to know about this stuff because people change, but not that much, I found out. So this is a great article. Check it out on Forbes. And stay tuned for more retirement information delivered to you.